Black Friday sales in full effect. If you want your brand, your business, or your song promoted, hit me up right now to find out how you can get it done for just $49. The email is ogod@hiphopun.com. That's ogod@hiphopun.com.
Very happy to have you on. It's
Thank you,
Andrew
man.
Wyatt, crisis manager for the none other than Dr. Bill Cosby, Mr. Cosby. Talk about it, man. We got a lot going on. We seen Diddy was hit with this bombshell lawsuit yesterday by Cassie, his former girlfriend, former artist.
Yeah.
And then pretty much we talked on the phone yesterday. We got off the podcast yesterday, got home, and then we see she settled. They settled.
Right, right. Look, you got to look at. Let's look at standing on principle opposed to saying, okay, I need this to go away because I got more to lose. Uh, Diddy couldn't stand on principle on this. He has Revolt TV um, sponsors. Look how many sponsors he would have lost in the millions. I'm talking about over 300 million
Hmm.
dollars in sponsorship.
Yeah.
Um, you look at all of his other entities. He just has a new had a new album to drop. Tours just got VH1 top honors. All of those things get stripped away. I could speak on it because we have the formula for how this happened. Bill Cosby became the litmus test. When you really think about it, it was tried, true, and tested. Mr. Cosby and Mrs. Cosby stood on principle. And they said, well, we're not going to allow you to shake us down. And when Gloria Allred sent us a message, and it's in the LA Times in 2014, if you give me $100 million, I can make all of this go away.
Mm.
Well, Diddy just wasn't prepared to stay in that fight. Uh, when you look at Ciroc, I always tell everybody when these type of hits come at people, it's coming from someone in your inner circle.
Okay.
So you have a lawsuit pending against Ciroc. Well, if you're familiar with how lawsuits work, they don't just go, you file a lawsuit and you go directly to court. It doesn't work that way. You have to do a ton of discovery, meaning you have to have your investigators to look at certain things, then you have to do all these depositions. Diddy would not be in a position to sit for a deposition under Ciroc. Ciroc was responsible for all of the parties that he hosted, and they sponsored after parties, parties at the home.
Right.
Do you know how much information the executives and the lower level people at Ciroc might know or might have seen? That comes out in the
Wow.
deposition. Well, if you look at Cassie's lawsuit, that case was not going to probably come to life until 2, 3 years from now.
Yep.
Then her attorney says, well, we want to subpoena, the deposition you gave to Ciroc. So he has so much to lose. And whether he settled for 50 million, I'm pretty sure it was a high number. But
Yeah.
when you have Kid Kudo, I think that's his name, and these different rappers, like I think it was Young Jock who said, well, he made Cassie shave her head
Mm-hmm.
on a show. When you have all of these, alleged allegations sitting out there, then you got Mace, you got the Locks, you got all of these people who are angry with you right now. So you don't know who's throwing those bombs your way. And it's a lot of people who were going to be called and deposed to help bring validity to Cassie's claims. So
Yeah.
why do I put myself through that? Why do I let that why should I let that get in the public eye? So you weigh your options. Is debt to income ratio. So you say, okay, this is going to be a huge debt. This is going to stop my income from coming through. What do I do? Get rid of the debt so I can
Hmm.
keep my income. And that's what
Yeah.
Diddy did.
Right. Now let's talk about a little bit about this window that they have in certain states where people can actually file these sexual assault lawsuits without, a lot of evidence. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, well, they're called look back windows, and look back windows were put in place by these legislators in various states, Los Angeles, Nevada, New Jersey, New York. And the one in New York went into effect on Thanksgiving Day of last year.
Okay.
You have only 1 year, 1 year, and it expires next week, Thanksgiving the next week. So you have 1 year to bring, if the statute of limitations have ran on any accusation you have a criminal for criminal charges against someone,
Hmm.
these senators and the governor signed into law these look back windows to say, I'm going to give you 1 year to bring any claim against anybody. You don't have to have any evidence. You don't have to have any proof. You could just
Wow.
say it happened. It could be 60, 70, 80 years old as long as the person is alive. So, what you're seeing with Diddy, what you're seeing with Mr. Cosby, Steven Tyler, L.A. Reid, these women now are saying, okay, I got to find me a lawyer. This is like these law firms you see like Morgan and various law firms doing these class action lawsuits, Camp Lejeune and all these lawsuits or Roundup. Well, it's the same thing. You got attorneys sitting back saying, well, any woman that comes to me against anybody famous, now that's just not going to take any regular woman against some regular guy. They're going to say, nah, that look back window don't benefit you. Well, I say, I'm saying as a victim, as an alleged victim, that this guy who works as a cab driver sexual assaulted me. Well, why didn't you go to the cops? Well, I was just afraid. He's not powerful. He has no money. But if you're going to bring a claim against a celebrity with insurmountable amounts of wealth, we're going to take that claim. And that's what lawyers are doing. Women now, they don't have to, they could just say it happened, man. And that's that look back window, and that's why I said in my social media post with Diddy, I wasn't speaking to Diddy's uh innocence or guilt because I wasn't there. I was just saying this look back window is an epidemic. It's an epidemic for you, Sam. It's an epidemic for you, Omar. It's an epidemic for your boys. Anybody who has the ability and they can become successful or wealthy, and then some woman gets to come back you haven't heard from in 30 years and say, well, I know he's sitting on 20 or $30 million and I want some of it. Well, he raped me. So they file a civil suit against you in New York State. And here you go. You're going to spend millions of dollars trying to find witnesses to prove it didn't happen, doing discovery, investigators, and it's unfair. And I think it's an epidemic because what is going to do now? Think about this, Sam and Omar. You guys follow college sports.
Yep.
Now we have athletes, being able to get paid.
Hmm.
And these athletes, some are getting up to $1 million or more. And now they have reached some form of wealth. They not only have the wealth, they have the fame, the success now. And they have the potential now of being looked at as a top draft pick, whether it's the NFL, MLB, or the NBA. Well, now you have women saying, okay, I used to date him, or he broke up with me. It's usually one of those situations. No one ever took the time to read the stuff against Cosby, but if they took the time to read it, a lot of those women, yeah, he was having affairs with, but a lot of them became upset because he made them take the walk of shame, where he might have picked them up in a Rolls Royce and he dropped them off in a cab. I don't know. It's those
Right.
type of things. So these guys now who are coming up in the ranks of creating wealth for themselves, especially black men, they have to be extra careful now. When dating now, the rules have changed in dating. And it shows you with these look back windows, the rules have changed. Unfortunately, you have to change your behaviors. You have to change on how you party. You have to have a select group of people around you who's watching your back. I was telling comedian Eddie Griffin, we're good friends, and he said, man, what should I be doing now since these, look back windows? I've done a lot of stuff out here. I said, look, man, if you're gonna invite somebody up, Eddie, to your room, hey, they got to turn their cell phones off. Matter of fact, they got to check it at the door. Then they got to sign an NDA
Yeah.
that anything that happens that between us is not to be discussed. And you almost got to become a porn star. I hate to put it that way. And you got to say, I need to get you and record your consent.
Mhm.
Because if we're going to have sex, I need to record your consent. I'm not saying record the act, but record your consent. Because
Right.
right now we're in a dangerous window, and no pun intended, with these look back windows. They're gonna it's gonna be more states, in my opinion, they're gonna open up more windows. And you look at California, they window closed. They did a revision and opened up a new window. Their window was first for people for girls who were sexually assaulted as minors. Then they said, no, we're gonna do an amendment, and we're gonna amend this window, and we're gonna make it open for adults now, where adults could bring these claims. So when I look at Diddy settling, what comes to mind, and you got to look at how media and these attorneys, they're all working together, how they strategized it. All of a sudden, Diddy case is out here, is getting all the attention, but then they got to bring this woman out against Mr. Cosby. Diddy probably looked at that and said, I don't want to be in that box.
Mm.
Mhm.
That was the wake up call for him. I don't want to lose everything that Bill Cosby lost. I can't afford to lose that. So my best advantage in this, I'm not going to win against her. I don't know what evidence. I don't know if she has videos. I don't know if she has pictures. I got a lot of enemies out here. I've been accused of bombing Kid Kudo's car, having it bombed, allegedly having it bombed. I got a lot of enemies. I don't need all of these people, and they have major platforms. They got followers, millions of followers, just like I do, coming out against me. So he settled.
We had a great comment come through as we were warming the crowd up, and he said that when you settle, you're guilty. You settle because you're guilty. So I
No,
ask
no,
you,
no, no,
please
no,
elaborate.
no, 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 no. That's a lie.
Mm.
And no disrespect to your supporters and the people who support your show. A settlement doesn't say that you're guilty. A settlement basically say, I want to move on with my life. And it specifically states that you uh, don't have the time, or nor do you want to put the time into fighting this matter. It's a waste of your time, and you really just want to get back to work. And like I said, it's debt to income. You look at the fact of saying, okay, by the time I get to trial, and all of these lawyers, I got to have a battalion of lawyers working for me. By the time I go through all of that, I've spent 10 to 15 million dollars already. Now, at the onset of Bill Cosby stuff, what he had, and a lot of people need to know that you can do this through your homeowner's insurance, you could get a liability claim. And
Okay.
you get a liability claim through your homeowner's insurance. So anytime someone files a defamation suit against your show or your homeowners defend you in that defamation suit through your liability claim. So
Wow.
Mr. Cosby had his homeowner's insurance, AIG, who he had never let the policy lapse, never missed a payment, a monthly payment. They defended those claims and paid those millions of dollars out on the front end. Now, it was to AIG's advantage to also supplement the lawyers in his criminal trial, because if he doesn't get a conviction, AIG don't have to settle with the women. Unfortunately, a conviction happened in 2018, and AIG settled without our permission. However, in your insurance policy, in the fine print, read it. Nobody ever reads it. It tells you, I don't have to get your permission to settle a claim.
Mm.
I can settle because our insurance company just don't want to deal with it. And we have the right to drop you after we settle.
Mm.
Wow.
So, so what Diddy probably looked at, Do I want to go through the process of going through my liability claim, through my insurance policy? A lot of common people don't know about that. Wealthy people do. And I'll tell anybody, it only costs you $300 a month. Some's $200 a month. Get you a liability claim where you can protect your show, your business, your name from a defamation suit. And it's that claim in your insurance company through your homeowners, they have to defend you in that. So you're spending no money out of pocket. And what Diddy probably said, I don't want to do that. When Bill Cosby settled with Andrea Constant in 2005, the reason why he settled, and him and I, we talked extensively about it. He said, look, Andrew, my son was just murdered 5 years prior, 5 to 6 years prior. He said, after my son was murdered, I had Autumn Jackson accusing me of being her father. She tried to extort me for $40 million. I went and did a DNA test. My blood is still in Delaware. She wouldn't go and get tested to prove that I was her father or not. His attorney at the time, Jack Schmidt out of New York, um, Mr. Cosby got with Autumn's mother, Sean, and said, look, please stop your daughter. He tried to put her daughter through college every day. He said, have her, I don't want her to get in any trouble. She's trying to extort me out of $40 million. Autumn would not stop. So Jack Schmidt, his attorney, wore a wire for the FBI,
Wow.
met Autumn in a coffee shop in New York, and they put her in prison for extortion. She got out maybe about 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Um, and then all of a sudden, these women come out, and Andrea Constant come out against Mr. Cosby, and he was like, I put my family through too much already. I lost a son. Now this woman claims that I'm her father, tried to extort me. I'm just going to settle. Because what he told his attorneys, I just want to go back to work. And that's how entertainers think. They're creative people. They
Hmm.
just want to go back to work. And Mr. Cosby said, Andrew, all I wanted to do was go back to work. So he goes to his attorney, Colson O'Connor, and he tells him, do whatever you can, just get me back to work. So he settles out of court with her for $3.8 million for digital penetration. Never had sex with her, just fingering her only. Settle out of court. Then the National Enquirer pays her mother, I think, another 200 some $1,000. Okay, it goes away. All the Jane Does that were lined up, and I'm writing a book and I talk about it in my book. All of the Jane Does that were lined up against Mr. Cosby, they had to go away because he settled. They were going to be factors, they were going to be co defendants in her case against Mr. Cosby for criminal charges of sexual assault. He settled though. She didn't go to criminal court though. She bypassed the criminal process. She didn't go and talk to criminal attorneys. She went and talked to civil attorneys. So it's the same thing with Diddy. A settlement, I've settled plenty of things with people. I didn't say that I was out. It wasn't because I was guilty or something. It was because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to put the time into dealing with it. And when you look at a lawyer charging you $1,000 an hour,
Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, they charge you. We had a law firm. They didn't even tell us. Uh, they had 40 attorneys working on our case. We didn't even know it. They had associates making $250 an hour. They had junior associates making $450 an hour, and they had the partners in the firm making $1,300 an hour.
Whew.
So by the time when we got a bill, 6 months of work, we got a bill for $15 million.
Mm.